Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Rashad from RashadBeats.com, and I just want to welcome you guys back to another video. And today I have another EP/mixtape review for you guys. And for those who are new to this, I usually do album reviews and mixtape reviews on indie artists, and I break down what I like about the tracks and what I like about the project and what I don't like about it, and tell them what things they can improve on, and etc, etc. And that's pretty much how these videos go. So for those who are new, because I haven't done these in a while, that's what I do for these certain videos. But anyway, so the project that we are going to be reviewing today is none other than my bro KPW's newest project, Please Don't Test God. Now, in Please Don't Test God is a 5-track EP that is focused heavily on social awareness, social consciousness, social injustice, and race, and a lot of things that are very prevalent to this day. The 5-track EP can touch a couple of strings when you listen to it, depending on what you're looking for. And one of the things about KPW is that he touches on a lot of these concepts a lot in his tracks. It's part of his style, because these are more social and more conscious rappers. Yeah, so in Please Don't Test God, very similar to his last project, which was Black the Default, and you can check out that review below. It is very focused around the social injustice and consciousness and self-awareness and just the constructs of systematic oppression. These are concepts that you're always going to find when it comes to KPW. These are concepts that you eventually get used to when you listen to them and that you expect. I feel like a big thing that was also improvement coming off of Black the Default, which had more tracks. I can't remember exactly how many, but it had a lot more tracks than this project. But you can tell there's a lot more cohesiveness as far as the mixing, and production is definitely improved, and features are always good. But without further ado, let's jump right into the track list, and I'm going to break down most of these tracks. So as soon as the record begins, you start up the intro, which is called Please, and the instrumental on this thing catches your attention. It's a very drowned out sample that's very loud, so it forces you to pay attention instantly. As far as KPW coming in with the lyrics, he came in with his regular cadence and his regular style, which was to be expected. Very heavy, and the bars are great, but I felt it was more of a poem-ish, so you would kind of follow it along with the beat, but it still broke it down, and it still came together as an intro, and it came together pretty good. Very moody, very darker, a little bit way darker than his last project. It puts on a darker tone than the last project, so you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, okay, I already know what to expect. It's gonna be a lot more darkness than last one. And one thing that I noticed in the intro is that the sample, it's like muffled, but you can kind of hear it's like, please don't turn us down. But it also, I think when he constructed the beat, it kind of made it seem like it was saying, please don't test God a little bit, which throws you off the first listen because it's very all over the place. So it's not really constructed as a song. It's more of a poem. But you get used to how it's coming, and then you start to understand how you start to get used to the way it flows out. Now, as the intro progresses, the beat changes, and this is one of the things that were pretty good in the first listen, but when you listen to it again, you just skip it because it's just too long. When the beat switches and the half changes, it's like it's too long of a pause. It's too long of a switch up. It gets very annoying after a while. So eventually, after listening to it a couple of times, you start to skip it after he finishes his rapping on the first half. So you'll skip it and go to the second track. But the intro definitely set the tone, and it did exactly what it's supposed to do. Now on track 2, Demerara, which is one of my favorite tracks because the beat, not only is the beat majestic and vibey and moody, it's very, what's that word, man? It's very abstract. Like, the beat moves on its own. It's like water. So one thing that I liked about this track was just how he put his hook down, and the hook was just very seamless. You know what I mean? And his flow on this was crazy. And I felt like he was kind of rapping easier on this track than most tracks, because it made it a lot easier to follow because of the way the beat was vibing. Because most of the time when KPW raps, it's a lot of bars that you have to break down, that he breaks down for you towards the end of his verses. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it could be hard to digest at times. You know what I mean? This is one of the problems that I had in the last project. But in this certain track, Demerara, this track is one of my favorites because of how moody and how great the track moves and floats, and mixing on this was well done. Now on the third track, we got On Normal to the Internal, and in this track, The instrumental is very booming, very smoky, jazz-like. The percussion is dope on this. As soon as you hear the beat drops, KPW starts rapping or whatever, and his bars on this is really pretty good. I enjoyed the cadence that he brought to it. It was very on point, and it wasn't as conflicting with other beats as it was in the previous project. And it felt like it just fit, you know what I mean? This is a pretty decent track. I personally love the instrumental about this the most because you could feel the instrumental. You could feel the snare, you could feel the kick, and you could feel the sample kind of moving. Now, moving on to track number 4, we got Serpent's Talents. And in this particular track, this is probably one of his more intense, lyrically, this track is probably one of the most intense tracks I've ever heard from him. It's very aggressive, very it's very hands-on when it comes to just starting it off. The instrumental is very smoky and simple. It's like this beaming sample, it's like bang, and it kind of rains down on you with like a kick, with a kick drum. And what that does is it makes room for the vocals to kind of breathe, so you can focus a lot more on what KPW is saying. It forces you to just pay attention. And that's what I like about KPW's style in certain songs, and most of his songs, not even certain songs, in most of the songs you have no choice but to pay attention and really hear what he's talking about. So in Serpent's Talents, he's pretty much breaking down snakes and breaking down just morality, and a lot of things in this song is just very deep. The breakdowns are not as hard to digest in this song than in his previous songs, because it's a lot more just, okay, you gotta focus. It forces you to be like, alright, so you gotta prepare for what he's about to say. And it's not just like, alright, he's about to do the same cadence and on a whole different beat. It's kind of more, it's more natural with this type of instrumental and this type of feel, so you can kind of feel it. But yeah, so Serpent's Talents is definitely a top tier track. Definitely one of his more intense tracks. Probably one of the most intense I've ever heard from him. After this track, we move on to the final track, which is Gluttony of the Light. And this is probably the hardest track I've ever heard KPW do. Period. I don't think there's any other track that can rival this. From Black to Default to this new joint. Cause I feel like it's the thing with this one is not too focused. It still has the social background and it still has the consciousness behind it, but it's so hip hop and it's so grimy. Like it takes you back to like those alleyways, the graffiti on the wall. It takes you back to a little 90s era. The way the beat is like this smoky Western style sample, and the drums are very slow, jazzy. That it's great. It's one of the greatest tracks, and it also has a feature from Price. Price's feature is just gold. Price starts the track off, killing it. How we mix the white girl with the crack rock? No, how we turn the white girl into crack rock. I don't know why I can't remember it, but it was so dope. The whole feel of this track was crazy, and this is also the first song that he released for this entire project. So it set the tone and it set the bar. When I heard this track, I was like, damn, this is the final track. And then he told me, KPW told me, like, yeah, I actually released this as a single. I never got a chance to check it out. The way it ends, you want to kind of experience it again, so you listen to it again. And KPW's verse on this joint was really good. He did what he was expected to do, and his cadence wasn't kind of interrupting with Price's simplistic style of rap, which was more this type of track. So it didn't interrupt, but it kind of like added on and gave it a lot more of a dynamic. You know what I mean? But Gluttony of the Light is probably like one of my favorite KPW tracks of all time, period. You know what I mean? Like, cause it is, I feel like it's everything that he needs as far as like hip hop. Not even conscious hip hop, but straight up hip hop. Even though that had, the theme was consciousness, but still. That's pretty much it for this entire EP, man. Please Don't Test God. All in all, it was a great body of work. It's a good start for where he wants to go next with his next project. And the sonics, the beats, everything was just an improvement. It was an upgrade, you know what I mean? Compared to Black to Default, you know what I mean? But the thing that Black to Default had compared to this one, which was kind of expected because there's only 5 tracks, Black to Default had more of a body of work. Had more cohesiveness than this one. As far as this one, the cohesiveness in this project was more focused towards the production and focused towards the engineering, you know what I mean? More sonically than conceptually. The concepts are obviously simple, consciousness and whatnot, but still doesn't make it too clear, you know what I mean? It wasn't as defined as it was in Black, where Black the Default was really just about black people in America. You know what I mean? You don't know what he's kind of talking about in Please Don't Test God. He talks about a lot of different things, from morality, religion, to consciousness, to social injustice, and, you know, shit like that. So it kind of makes it hard to determine. As far as this entire project, man, this entire project is very solid, and I definitely can't wait to see what KPW brings in the future. I enjoyed this project. If I was to give this a number out of 10, I'd definitely give it a 7 out of 10. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And if you want to link up with KPW, feel free to hit all his links below. You can check out the joint for yourself and holla at him, man. He's a great dude, man. Talk to him. Great conversation. Dude can have a great conversation with you. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much it, man. Shaw Beats out. Be sure to check out KPW. Please Don't Test God. And we're out. Peace.